Welcome back, folks, to another video. Today I'm going to show you how I made these quaint little holiday trees, we'll call them, that you're seeing all over the internet, on YouTube and on Instagram, whatever you like. Here's the cut list. All this can be made out of one 12-foot 1x3. So you're going to cut one piece at 12 inches, one piece at 6 3/4, 7 pieces at 6 inches, one piece at 4 3/4, 6 pieces at 4 inches. The 6 3/4 and the 4 3/4 are going to be for the top of the tree, so just remember that. Moving right into it, we're going to set our miter saw up to 30 degrees. All our cuts are going to be 30 degrees. What I like to do is set up a stop block. That way I can get repeatable cuts. That way I don't have to measure every single time. I marked on my fence 4 3/4, 6 and 6 3/4. That way I know exactly where to put that block, and it just makes it nice and easy for me. You're going to cut the end piece at your 30 degrees to make a nice starting point. Safety tip: once you make your cut, just make sure that blade comes to a complete stop. And after every single cut, you're going to flip the board. That way everything is symmetrical. Nice and easy. Move up, trip the breaker, shed some light back on it, moving that stop block every single time. Once you got all of those cut, it's down to everyone's favorite thing, sanding. This wasn't too bad. It's just a couple pieces. Probably took me maybe 5 minutes tops. You want to make sure you take off all the stickers that were on there. I forgot quite a few, but made short work of it. Nice and easy. Once I was done sanding, I actually took my low angle block plane to all the pieces just to clean them up. It gives it just a nicer look. What I like to do when I'm building these, I'll take a nice straight edge, and take a couple clamps, clamp that down. That way it's a nice level surface for me to work with. And once that's clamped down, to make it easy for myself, I see people struggle all the time with trying to glue these or pin these up. What I like to do is that if, it all fussing around, I'll grab another clamp and I'll clamp that bottom piece right down so it doesn't move. That way I can kind of move freely with my hands and the glue bottles, just to make gluing up super easy. And one thing you'll notice is I'm not using any kind of brad nails, pin nails, nothing. All these trees are being held together is by regular Titebond 2 glue and CA glue. I use the Titebond to really hold it together, and that CA glue is super strong and allows me to work at a steady pace without having to wait for the glue to dry. But CA glue can be a tad brittle, so you want to use a little bit more Titebond wood glue than CA glue. Yeah, you'll notice within a matter of a couple seconds, those pieces are secure and ready to be moved. Now, once that's all glued up, I can move on to the second phase. But what I like to do, instead of just moving right up the tree and putting the next phase, I'll actually do the top piece first. You notice I kind of messed up my order. I clamped the bigger piece for the top down when you actually should clamp the smaller piece just to make that angle a lot easier. You'll see exactly where I'm putting the glue. It's just kind of a pain in the butt. I fixed it once I assembled the smaller trees. So like I said, do the top of the tree second. That way all your angles kind of line up and you're not kind of fighting it with the pieces sliding down. And once the top is finished, I clamp back down that bottom piece just so it's secure. It makes it easier. So line that up, make it all nice, and figure out the angles I want these at. It's pretty simple. You can just eyeball them. But you can see where if you try to do those side pieces, sometimes it just doesn't line up for you. Once you get those angles you like, just start gluing up the rest. Literally takes me probably 5 minutes, if that, to do one tree. Super easy. Just taking my time to show you guys on video. Yeah, just like that CA glue. Holds it nice and quick. That way you can move on and batch these out in the dozens. We just throw the top on, and our tree is about 95% done. Again, same thing. Wood glue, CA glue, squeeze it into place. And a tip I got from Brad from Fix This Build That on YouTube is to use a straw to clean up your glue joints, especially if you can't get any kind of rag in there. It is very important that you clean up your glue, especially if you got any on your fingers or anywhere. Get rid of that glue residue, because if you're staining it, it will show up. So clean it all up the best you can. And to attach that bottom piece, I just find the center. And then find the center of the bottom of the tree. Liberally? I can't even say that word. Just put a decent amount of glue there. Decent amount of CA glue. That way it stays. on, cleaning up all those glue joints again. Your first tree is pretty much done. And then doing the small trees is literally rinse and repeat. Clamp that piece down. Go nuts. And I think I don't mention is the bottom piece for the taller tree is the 12-inch. And then you just use another 6-inch piece for the bottom of the small trees. This is where I kind of fixed it. So you grab the smaller piece, the 4-inch piece, clamp the 4-inch piece down, and then use the 4 3/4 piece on the side. That way it just makes it nice and straight and lines up perfectly. And then, like I said, rinse and repeat. Figure out your angles, and then glue it all together. Once your trees are assembled, I give it a couple hours for all the glue to dry and set up. It's time to stain. I chose for these trees, I believe it's like original walnut, dark walnut, I forget what it was. But I just take a rag, or you can use a foam brush, and you want to go with the grain to stain, otherwise it kind of looks kind of funny. And like I said, this is where you should make sure that you got all those glue spots out, because what happens is that glue fills all the pores in the wood and it doesn't allow the stain to seep in. So it literally looks like you haven't stained it. If you do notice that you have missed some spots of glue, I wouldn't recommend it, but you can sand it down once it's dry and try to restain it, but sometimes the stains really don't match, so you want to make sure you get that nice and clean. The thing with stain is you can make it as light as you want, you can make it as dark as you want. It's all about how long you leave that stain on before wiping off, or how heavy of a coat you do. This stain called for after about 10-15 minutes to wipe off the excess. I didn't want to go as dark, so I went a lighter coat and wiped it down after. Just finishing up getting the stain in those little crevices. Normally I like to use a Q-tip. Didn't have any on hand, so I just soaked the rags and kind of got in there. Cleaning off any excess. And if the weather doesn't permit you, just make a spray booth, 4mm plastic. Did 2 coats of polyurethane spray just to protect them. And then you're all set. You let that dry. It makes a nice gift for any of your family and loved ones. I thank you guys for tuning in to another video. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave them. And don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Thank you so much.